SAT math is where most students get stuck. Not because they're bad at math, but because no one ever taught them how the SAT actually works. This free 2-hour masterclass changes that completely. We will break down the exact strategies top scorers use, even if you've always struggled with math before. And in the next 2 hours, I will show you how to spot hidden patterns, solve problems faster, and avoid all the traps that slows a lot of students down. And this might be the most important SAT math lesson that you will ever watch before test day. So, without further ado, let's dive in.
So if you're anything like me, you clicked on this video because you want to learn how to get at least 780 on the SAT math section and eventually get into your dream school without any coaching or genius IQ. Whether that's the case or you're just interested in learning, SAT math can feel overwhelmed, and the easiest thing to do is convince yourself that it's too hard to get 780 plus. That's why I put together this entire step-by-step guide to getting at least 780 on the SAT math section. Look, I get it. Why you should listen to me instead of other YouTubers who are making videos in front of their laptop. When I first took the SAT, I was 14 years old and I got 780 on the math section even at that age. And I've helped hundreds of students to prepare for the SAT by being a volunteer tutor in schoolhouse. Now my goal is to take what I've learned and share it for completely free. I see a ton of YouTubers who are gatekeeping their secrets or putting it behind a $1,000 paywall. But I'm on a mission to help 1,000 students to get 780 plus by sharing every resource you need for completely free. So congratulations on taking the first step into the crazy world of SAT. Most importantly, sit back, take a pen and pencil, and prepare to take notes, because at the end of the video, you will take massive action. But before we get into it, it would mean a ton if you could smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so that we can impact more students. With that said, let's dive into it. So I put together this guide for you to give you a step-by-step strategy. So the first two steps are for beginners and the next two are for intermediate students. And the last two are for advanced students. Let's jump into the first thing that any SAT test taker has to do, which is getting started. I recommend you to spend 1 or 2 months on this step. So this step essentially is about the format of the test. As you know, there are 2 modules and they're adaptive. You just have to be happy if you get the harder module. So in this step, your focus is going to be on 4 main areas: parts of algebra, problem solving and data analysis, advanced math, and additional topics in math like geometry and trigonometry. The best source I can recommend is Khan Academy because it has a ton of videos and exercises. Comment 60-day digital SAT math course. My advice to you is not using question bank of College Board because there are questions that are taken from official Blue Book practice tests and you will just spoil those tests. So the second step you have to follow is assessing your starting point. And this is gonna take about 12 hours. So what you have to do is take College Board practice test number 1. Then view your score and write down which question types you struggled with. Analyze the questions. For example, I did a video walkthrough of College Board Blue Book practice test number 1 and you can watch that after taking that practice test so that you can understand those questions. Now let's move on to the intermediate steps, which are steps 3 and 4. So we will start off with using official practice materials, and I recommend you to spend about a month for it. As you know, there are 6 official practice tests on Blue Book, and spend around a month for those. The most important thing at this step is developing advanced strategies. For example, you can develop strategies for pacing, plugging in numbers, back solving, and elimination techniques. I also recommend you to have a mistake or error log where you're gonna document your mistakes so that you will not make the same mistake again and again. You also have to review it consistently to avoid repeating those same mistakes. So step number 4 is developing test day strategies. When you take all these 6 practice tests, you will understand more about the questions and how digital SAT Math is structured and how College Board asks you questions. And you can easily create your own test day strategies. For example, you can create a strategy called Desmos calculator use, and what this will essentially mean is practicing efficiently using the calculator section so that you can save time so that you can save a ton of time for more challenging questions. The best strategy is just staying calm under pressure. You can even develop some mindful techniques so that you can stay calm and just focus on the SAT questions. So these last 2 steps are for advanced students. So it all starts off with test day preparation. The night before your exam, you have to get a good night's sleep and avoid last minute cramming. Don't try to learn anything new in those last minutes. In the morning of the test, you have to eat healthy breakfast and do a few warm-up problems to get your brain in. Just a few. Then, it's all about test execution. Read each question carefully. Manage your time well. And remember to double check your answers if time permits. Now let's talk.
Hi guys, welcome to lesson number 1 of our SAT math course. And I hope this course is going to give you literally everything that you need for you to get 750 plus on your SAT math exam. And in this first lesson, we will be covering polynomials. And I've created this worksheet here, and I found 3 main ways that College Board can create questions on this question type. So the first category here is factoring polynomials. The second is expanding and simplifying polynomials. And the third is solving those quadratic equations. And I will be explaining you each and every single category in detail. And we will be solving all these questions right now so that you can have a full understanding of how College Board tests you on this specific question type. So without further ado, let's get into it. So here's the first category, and the best way to master solving these types of questions in each category is by practicing and me showing what I think while I solve these types of questions. So the first question, which of the following is a factor of 6xy minus 9y plus 8x minus 12? So in this case, you need to understand, you need to identify a factor of it. So the first thing that you need to do if you have a question like this is grouping the terms. How do you actually group them? Well, in this case, so that would be 6xy minus 9y, and you're gonna group them these, so plus 8x minus 12. And now what we can do is that we can factor out the greatest common factor, which is GCF, from each of these groups. So in this case, we've got 2 groups. The first group is this, and the second group is this. In this first group, the GCF, which is the greatest common factor, is 3y. And if you multiply 3y by 2x minus 3,
both of these are gonna be the same. So we can rewrite it like this, plus. And in the second group, we can also find the greatest common factor. So in this case as well, it is 4. So 4 multiplied by 2x minus 3. So here you can see the magic formula, the magic thing. So 2x minus 3 is on the both sides. So that's a good sign. And we know that something is working right now. So we've combined those factor groups. So now we can factor out the common binomial. So in this case, we can rewrite it as, so firstly we can write 2x minus 3 separately first because it is used in both of the equations. And what you can do is that you can add these two things also, 3y plus 4. And that is gonna be the same as the equation in the middle. So as you can see, this is 100% equal to this equation that we have. So a factor could be 2x minus 3 or 3y plus 4. And if you look at the answer choices, choice A, 2x minus 3, that's exactly the first factor. 2x plus 3, no, it's not plus, it's negative. 2y minus 3, no, it is x here, not y. So C is also wrong. D, 3y minus 4. Well, it's not minus, it's actually plus. That's why D is also wrong. So the correct answer choice is A. Now let's have a look at question number 2. So we should factor x squared minus 5x plus 6. In this case as well, everything is easy. So firstly, we should identify two numbers that multiply to 6, and those two numbers should add to negative 5. So the numbers could be, in this case, if you think logically, so that would be negative 2 and negative 3. So as I said, let's multiply these. So negative 2 multiplied by negative 3. You get plus 6. So that's exactly what we want here, right? It's the exact same thing. And if we add those two, so negative 2 plus negative 3, you get negative 5. And that is this number right here. So we know that those numbers are negative 2 and negative 3. And now we can write the factored form. Well, that would be x minus 2 multiplied by x minus 3. And if you look at the answer choices, A is showing the exact same thing. So the correct answer is choice A. Now let's move on to the next question, which is a factor of 3x squared plus 10x minus 8. So in this case as well, the easiest way of solving it is by finding two numbers that multiply to 3 multiplied by negative 8. And the reason we do that is because in this case it was 1, so it didn't really matter. But in this case, before x squared, we've got a number, so we should multiply that. So if you rewrite it in this form, ax squared plus bx plus c, what we should do is that a multiplying a by c, and that is going to equal to number 1 multiplied by number 2. And if you add to 10 those numbers, that should equal to b. So b equals n1 plus n2. Yep, so let's solve it. So the first thing is figuring it out. So 3 multiplied by minus 8, that would be negative 24. Negative 24. That's gonna equal to the multiplication of two numbers. So now the second part is 10. And those two numbers, if we add those, it should equal to 10. Well, those numbers could be 12 multiplied by negative 2. And that is going to equal, if you multiply those, that is going to equal to negative 24. And if we add those, 12 plus negative 2, we get 10. So that's why those two numbers will be 12 and negative 2. And now we can kind of rewrite the middle here. So this thing, we can rewrite it as 3x squared plus 12x minus 2x negative minus 8. So the way we did, the reason that we did all this to find those two numbers is because we wanted to write this way so that we can later factor it by grouping. So we can group them this way. So that long equation is gonna, we can find the common greatest common factor. So in this case, that would be 3x multiplied by x plus 4. Let me erase this thing so that it's not gonna distract us. 3 x plus 4. And on this side, we can write negative. So the greatest common factor in the second part is negative 2. So negative 2 multiplied by x plus 4. So as you can see, we've got the magic thing, which is we've got x plus 4 in both sides. So that's a good thing, right? Now we can rewrite it. So x plus 4 multiplied by 3x minus 2. So here is those two factors. So the first factor is x plus 4, and the second factor is 3x minus 2. So this is how we solve these types of questions. So now let's check the answer choices. Choice A, 3x minus 2. Choice B, x plus 4, x minus 4. So in this case, I guess there was a little bit of a mistake. So A and B, both of these are actually correct. So I guess that there was some sort of a typo or something like that. So yeah, A and B are right here. The most important thing is understanding how these types of questions are solved. So let's erase some part of it so that we can have some more space for the next question. Okay. So question number 4. This one is a little bit easier for, which is 4x squared minus 9. So the first thing is that we can recognize the difference of squares here. So 4x squared can be 2x squared, and 9 is equal to 3 squared. So negative 3 squared. And we can apply the formula of a squared minus b squared equals a minus b multiplied by a plus b. So in this case, that would be 2x minus 3 multiplied by 2x plus 3. So here's our answer. So that's why choice A is the right answer. So now let's move on to the last question of category 1. The first category of how they ask, which is factoring. So the next question is factoring x third minus 8. So the first thing is that we can recognize the power of 3 here. So x third, or x in the power of 3, negative 8. And we can rewrite it as x in the power of 3 minus 2 in the power of 3. So 8 equals to 2 in the power of 3. That's why we rewrote it this way. And the other thing that you should know is that a in the power of 3 minus b in the power of 3 equals a minus b. Let me write it at the bottom of it. So this thing is gonna equal to a minus b multiplied by a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So that the same thing applies to this equation as well. The only thing that is left is just plugging in those numbers. So if you plug those numbers in, that would be x minus 2 multiplied by x squared plus 2x plus 4. So yep, this is how you solve these questions. And now it is time to look at the answer choices and see which one fits. Choice A, yep, choice A shows the exact same thing. So the right answer is choice A. Now we can move on to the next category of questions, and the way the category that College Board tests you in this specific polynomials question type. So let's move on. So here's the question number 1. And in this category, they usually ask you to expand or simplify. So the first one asks for simplification, and now let's solve it. So in this case, we can distribute the negative sign here that you can see. So 2x squared minus 4. Double negatives equal to positive, so that would be plus 3x squared negative 2x plus 7. And now you can, there are like terms, so you can combine those like terms. So x squared, and you've got another x squared. So that would be 5x squared negative 2x negative 4, and we're gonna add 7 to it, so that is gonna be plus 3. So here's the simplified version of that equation. And now let's have a look at choices and see which one fits. So choice A is the exact same thing. So the right answer is choice A. Now let's move on to the next question. Question number 2. And this one is asking us to expand on this equation. So 1.5x minus 2.4 in the power of 2 or squared minus 5.2x squared minus 6.4. So the first thing is that we're going to expand the first part of it. We're going to expand this. And then we're going to subtract the second term because we've got minus here. And we're going to combine like terms at the end. So let's do that step by step. So let's first expand it. So 1.5x squared. By the way, you can watch this in 2x because it takes a little bit of a more time for me to write these things. So, yep, if you want to learn faster, then you can play the video in 2x speed. So, minus 2 multiplied by 1.5x multiplied by 2.5 and plus 2.4 squared here. So yeah, and that is gonna equal to here I got a calculator, so 1.5 multiplied by 1.5, that is gonna give us 2.25 minus 2 multiplied by 2.4 multiplied by 1.5, and that is going to give us 7.2x. Oh, I actually forgot to put x squared here. X squared minus 7.2x. Let me see the 2.4 multiplied by 2.4, and that is gonna equal to plus 5.76. So now we should subtract the second term. In this case, it is this one, the second group, let's say. So yep. So 2 points. So we can write from this part minus 5.2x squared on double negatives equal to positive, so that's going to be plus 6.4. Now the only thing that is left is to combine like terms. So here we've got x squared here and here, so that would be negative 2.95 x squared minus 7.2x plus 12.6. 16. So here is our answer, and now let's look at the choices. Let's see which one shows the exact same thing. Well, choice C shows the exact same thing, so the right answer is choice C. Now you can solve these two questions on your own. You can pause the video right now and solve it on your own. First, yeah, you can solve it on your own because you already understood how to solve these types of questions. And now let's move on to the third category. If you want, you can pause the video right now and just solve it. And now we will move on. So here's the third category. So what are the solutions of 4x squared minus 8x minus 12 equals 0? So the way I only wrote one question to this category is because Desmos can do it on its own. But if you want, you can still watch the rest of the video where I will explain how to solve this question, because you need to understand the fundamentals of how finding the answer. And as I said, Desmos can do it on its own, but still, if you want, you can learn it. So the easiest way is there is a formula that solves it. So that is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, and divide that by 2a, and you will get the solutions. So in this case, b equals negative 8, c equals negative 12, and a equals 4. So it's as simple as that. But if you literally write this equation on Desmos, you can literally get the answer in 2 or 3 seconds. So yep, this is the end of our lesson number 1, and make sure to watch the second lesson because that is the most important lesson of all in SAT Math. So have a great day. Hi guys, welcome to lesson number 2 of our SAT Math course. So this lesson is going to be really great, and we will be covering exponents and roots. And here I have an 8-page worksheet that I've prepared, and there are a bunch of questions. And there are mainly 4 ways, 4 categories of ways that College Board asks you to tests you. And the first way is by simplifying those. There are a couple of things that you need to know before solving this question. So the first thing is that let's say we've got x in the power of a multiplied by x in the power of b. That's gonna equal to x in the power of a plus b. And the other thing that is important is this. So x in the power of, let's say, a over b, that is going to equal to b here, x in the power of a. So yep, now we can move on to the questions, and we can solve them one by one. So let's move on to the question number 1, and this one is a lot easier, and we will move on to a little harder ones as well. So simplifying this thing, so that's going to be x in the power of 3 over 4 plus 1 over 2. So we can rewrite 1 over 2 as 4 over 2 over 4. 2 over 4. So that's going to equal to x in the power of 5 over 4. So the right answer is choice A. Question number 2, simplifying this thing. So in order for you to solve this question, you should understand the quotient rule. So what is a quotient rule? Well, let's say we've got x in the power of a divided by x in the power of b. That's going to equal to x in the power of a minus b. So firstly, let's solve for x. So x in the power of 2 divided by x in the power of negative 1. So that's going to equal to x in the power of negative 2 minus negative 1. So double negatives equal to positive. So that would be minus 2 plus 1, and that's going to equal to x in the power of minus 1. And then we've got the y here. So that would be y in the power of 1 over 2 divided by y over negative 1. So this we will do the same thing with this one as well. So that's the y in the power of negative 1 over 2 negative minus negative 1. And that is going to equal to y in the power of 1 over 2. And now there are two ways of writing it. So the first way is x minus 1 multiplied by y in the power of 1 over 2. But mostly, this is not how it is written in answer choices. So x in the power of negative 1 equals to 1 over x multiplied by y in the square root of y. And that is going to equal to square root of y divided by x. So this is the right answer. So now let's have a look at choices. So in choice B, we've got the exact same thing. So the right answer is choice B. Question number 3 is also the same. And now let's solve question number 4, which is a little different. So a, the square root of a squared plus 2 multiplied by square root of a multiplied by square root of b plus the square root of b in the power of 2. So because we don't write, so like we can rewrite the square root of a as a in the power of 1 over 2, and if we multiply that by 2, we get a itself. So the same thing happens with the square root of b in the square root of 2, or and the same thing happens with that as well. So it's going to equal to b, and we're going to add that in here. So that's going to be, we can erase some stuff in here. So we can eliminate the square and the square roots. So in this case as well, for b, so our correct answer should look like this. Now let's look at choices. So choice B shows the exact same thing. So question number 5, we should simplify a in the power of 3 over 2. So it's essentially the same thing as you should apply this formula and you will get the answer. And right now you can pause the video and solve these 3 questions on your own. And now we will move on to the next category of questions. So category number 2 is solving exponential and root equations. So yeah, so question number 1. Here we've got the exponent. So the first thing that we do is that we will substitute x equals 9 here. So that would be k plus 2 minus 9 equals 0. From here, the square root of k plus 2 equals 9. And we can square both sides. So let's square both of the sides. And we get k plus 2 equals 81. So in this case, so k equals 79. So the correct answer is choice A. Now let's move on to the next question. We should solve this equation. So the first thing that we can do is we can isolate the square root. So that would be the 3 minus the square root of 3 minus x equals x minus 3 because we are subtracting 2 from both sides. And we can square both sides right now. Square both sides. So we get 3 minus x equals x squared minus 6x plus 9. And now we can rearrange this equation and solve it. So x squared. So we're gonna add x to both sides. So we're gonna get minus 5x. And we're gonna subtract 3 from both sides. So we get plus 6 equals 0. So now there are 3 ways of finding the x value. So the first way is the easiest one, and that is through Desmos. The second way is by coming up with 2 numbers, and those 2 numbers, when we multiply those 2 numbers, we should get 6, and when we add those 2 numbers, we should get 5. And yeah, so this way is through Desmos, and we can also write x equals 2, and the second value of x is gonna equal to 3. Well, now we can check for extraneous solutions, because whenever we have the square roots, some of these might not work. So let's check for x equals 2. Let's check for the first one first. So 3 minus 2, 1. So that's 2 minus 1 equals 1. So this one's going to equal to 1, 2, 1, 3. So 3 and 1 are not equal. They're not equal. So that's why the first one is wrong. We can eliminate it. So now let's check the second one right now. Let's plug in 3 instead of x. 0 in this part is going to be 2, and this part is also going to be equal to 2. So both of these are equal. So only x equals 3 is valid. So our answer should say this exact same thing. And if you look at choice B, it says the exact same thing. So that is the right answer. So now let's move on to the next one. Uh, you can uh, you can pause the video right now and solve these questions if you want to, and these ones as well. You can pause the video right now and solve this on your own. And now we will move on to the next category, category number 3, exponential growth and applications. If y equals 5 multiplied by 2 in the power of x, which is true, well, what we can do, the easiest way of solving it is by testing the effect of increasing, because all choices say that when x increases when x increases. So almost all the choices mention this, so it is the best to test it. So let's say that for firstly, let's have in the first scenario, we've got x equals 1, and in this case, y is going to equal to what? 2 in the power of 1 is going to be 2. 2 multiplied by 5, that's going to equal to 10. And in the second scenario, let's say x equals to 2. Y is going to equal to what? So 2 in the power of 2, 2 squared is 4. 4 multiplied by 5, that is 20. So the value of y doubles when x increases by 1, right? Because it's doubling, like it's being multiplied by 2. Let's look for an answer choice that says the exact same thing. So choice A says the exact same thing. Y doubles when x increases by 1. So that's the exact same thing. So now let's move on to the next question. So it says bacteria double every 3 hours. Initial count is 500. Counts after 15 hours. Well, I read this question in this precise way so that you will not be confused in any way. So firstly, we can calculate the number of periods. So one period equals 3 hours. So how many periods will that be? So that we can find this through 15 divided by 3. So that's going to equal to 5. So we know that there will be 5 periods. And we can apply that exponential growth formula. So because it says doubles, right? So doubles means that 2 in the power of x. So multiply by, and we will write the initial count. Initial count here is 500. So yep. It says count after 15 hours. So that would be 15 hours divided by 3, that would be 5 periods. So instead of x, we can write 5 because it's 5 periods, and we can get the solution. Let me use my calculator to solve it, or you can use Desmos if you want. It doesn't really matter that much. 500. So that's going to equal to 16,000. 16,000. Oh, yeah. Now let's look at choice B, and that says the exact same number. So that's is the correct choice. Now let's solve question number 3. A car depreciates 20% annually. Initial value is 25,000. Value after 3 years. Well, now we can calculate the factor of depreciation. Yep. So let's say it is at first 100%. then it depreciates 20%, that'd be 100% minus 20%. And that is going to equal to 80%. So 80% we can rewrite it as 0.8. And now what we can do is that it says the initial value is 25,000. So multiplied by 25,000 multiplied by 0.8 x. X is the number of years. So in this case, it says 3 years, so that's why we can write 3 instead of x. Now let's solve it. So 0.8 in the power of 3 multiplied by 25 multiplied by 25,000. So that's going to equal to 12,800. Now let's look at choices. So A is the right answer. Now we can move on to the next category. If you want, you can pause the video right now and solve questions 7 and 8. So category number 4, equations with exponents and roots. Well, here's the first question. If 9 multiplied by x squared multiplied by y squared equals 25, so yep, find 18xy. So let's simplify the equation first. So if you can recognize that all these things can be squared, let's square all these. So that would be in the square roots of 9x in the power of 2 or y squared, and that is going to equal to in the square root of 25. And you can get 3 multiplied by x multiplied by y equals 5 from this. And now, so we found this thing, so we can find xy equals 5 over 3. In order to find 18xy, we literally multiply it by 18. Well, we will multiply it by 18, and we get 30. So the right answer is 30. Let's have a look at choices. Choice A says the exact same thing, so choice A is right. Let's solve question number 2. Well, question number 2 and even question number 1 could be solved with Desmos. So if you want, you can solve it on your own just to understand these things. But still, Desmos can do these things pretty easily. So yep, here's the, if you want, you can solve these questions as well. We looked at a lot of these, so yep, have a good day. Welcome to day 4 of our 100-day digital SAT course. And in this video, we will be solving problems related to linear equations in one variable. And you will understand a lot of strategies that I use to nail these questions. So without further ado, let's get into it. So here we have the first question, and it's an easy one. So in this equation above, what's the value of x? So what we do is very simple. We're going to multiply 20 by 5, and that equals to 4x. And that would be 100 equals 4x. So let's divide 4 by both sides. So we get x equals 25. So the Correct answer is A. Let's move on to the second question. So Hector used a tool called an auger to remove corn from a storage bin at a constant rate. So it's kind of a linear equation. The bin contained 24,000 bushels of corn when Hector began to use the auger. After 5 hours of using the auger, 19,350 bushels of corn remained in the bin. If the auger continues to remove corn at this rate, at this constant rate, what's the total number of hours will Hector will have been using the auger when 12,840 bushels of corn remain in the bin? So we know that after those 5 hours, what we should do is to kind of uh, remove the bushel. So that would be 24,000 minus 19,350 because we're calculating something that happened after 5 hours. So 19,350 and we get, let me use my calculator to solve it. So we get 4,650. So now we know that now we have to find the rate. So this is the number of bushels of corn. Remove it at this 5 hour period, and now we have to find the rate. How many bushels of corn was removed per hour? So what we do is that we let me rewrite 4,650, and I'm gonna divide that by 5 so that I can get the rate. Let me use my calculator to solve it. So here I have 930. So now this is the number of bushels per hour. So let me remove these things so that I can write some other stuff as well. The only thing that I will leave is 930. So now let me get my, okay. So now let me write the equation for it. So first we've got the y-intercept, the number that we started off with, and that is 24,000. Let me write 0 better. Okay, minus. So we know the rates at which corn is removed. So that would be like a slope. So 930x equals 12,804. You may be thinking, how did I get this number? Here we have it. The question is asking for this thing, and we have to find the number of hours. Here, that would be x. Let me erase this thing as well. Just a second. Yep. Now let's solve it. So what we do is that we're gonna subtract 12,840 from both sides. 840. So what we get is 11,160. And if we add 930x to both sides, we get equals 930x. Now we have to find the value of x, which is the number of hours, and that's it. So x equals, let me use my calculator to solve this thing. Just a second. So x equals 12. So the correct answer is D. It kind of looks a little complicated, but if you understand the reasoning behind it, I mean, I try to explain that as well in this equation. So let's move on to the next question. So here we have the equation. If x is the solution to the equation above, what's the value of x minus 3? So in this case, I mean, here we have something interesting, 2x minus 6 and x minus 3. Interesting. So the easier way of doing it is, I believe, is like this. So we know that 2x minus 6 equals 2 multiplied by x minus 3. So here we have x minus 3 and here we have minus x minus 3, and even in the question they're asking for x minus 3. So now 3 multiplied by 2 is going to be 6. 6 x minus 3. So minus 11 equals 4 multiplied by x minus 3 plus 6. Okay, so now, oh, 11, 11. Okay, now what we can do is uh, subtracting uh, subtracting minus 4 multiplied by x minus 3. We can subtract that from both sides. So we get 2 multiplied by x minus 3. And if we add 11 to both sides, we get equals 17. So x minus 3 equals 17 divided by 2. And here we've got b. But if you kind of find this method harder, you can also substitute those things and solve it one by one. So the reason I showed you a kind of a little complex way, but if you know what you're doing, you're definitely gonna get the answer quicker. And it's because I wanted you to explain how to do the right method. So there are many ways of solving it. So you can use whatever way is fastest for you. So it's your own choice. So let's move on to the next question. So Alan drives an average of 100 miles each week. His car can travel an average of 25 miles per gallon of gasoline. Alan would like to reduce his weekly expenditure by $5. Assuming gasoline costs $4 per gallon, which equation can Alan use to determine how many fewer average miles he should drive each week? So this kind of looks a little complicated at first glance, but it's not that hard, honestly. So we know that the cost of gasoline is $4 per gallon, and he travels 25 miles per gallon. His car can travel that, yeah. So his car can travel. So that would be kind of like for. Let me think. So that would be like 4 divided by 25, and that would be uh, the cost in dollars per mile. Dollars per mile, I believe. Yeah, it's gonna be like this. So let's. Let's multiply that by m. Let me all these things. If we multiply that by m, that would be here like average miles. So I guess this is the right. This is gonna be like right answer, and that should not exceed reduce. So he wants to reduce his weekly expenditure. So that would be. And the question is asking us for how many fewer average miles. So that would be, and that should be equal to the, $5. So that should equal to $5. I don't think that we need a dollar sign here. So you can remove that. So this one is going to equal to 5 because this is what he wants to reduce, and here we have fewer. So we need a choice that tells this exact same thing. Let's see which one does. D. So that's the right answer. So if you have any questions, you can comment down below. So let's move on. So here we have a question. A tree had a height of 6 feet when it was planted. Here we is shown with an equation as well. The equation above can be used to find how many years n it took the tree to reach a height of 14 feet. Which of the following is the best interpretation of number 2? Uh, uh, okay. So I guess 2 is kind of uh so let's start off with 2n. So 2n itself is the number of feet that the tree grew from the time it was planted, I guess, until the time when it like kind of reached 14. So we know that n is the so we know that the n is the number of years, and 2 should be the number of feet each year. It's like kind of like a slope. Yeah, it's like kind of like a slope, and it's the number of feet. No, the number of feet the tree grows each year. Let's look at the answer choice. The number of years is not the number of years. The average number of feet the tree grew per year. Yes, exactly. The height, no, it's not when it was 1 year old. So C is wrong. No, it's not about years. So D is also wrong. So here we have the next question. Here we have the equation. A is a constant. The equation has infinitely many solutions. What's the value of A? Okay, infinitely many solutions. So here we have infinitely many solutions. That would be same slow same sorry for my handwriting. Same slope and the same uh, y-intercepts. So you should definitely remember that. So if you have infinitely many solutions, you're gonna have the same slope and the same y-intercepts. So the answer is gonna be 2. Why? Because if we plug 2 here, and if we substitute that would be 2x. Which is exactly the same thing here. And if you multiply 2 by 8, you will get 16. And here we have the same slope and y-intercept. So the answer is 2. Now let's move on to the next question. So here we have the equation. B is a constant. If the equation has no solution, what's the value of B? So interesting. So let's start off with uh, dividing both sides by b minus 2. Let's do that. So you get x equals 8 divided by b minus 2. So b minus 2, let's say like, because it has no solutions, one of these has to be 0, because here we have 8. This side will be 0. So that's a b minus 2 equals 0. And therefore, b equals 2. So that's easy. So the thing that you have to understand in this question is that if you have no solutions, one of these should be 0, because at the top side we have 8. It can be 0, but in the bottom side, we can equal that to 0, and we can find the value of b. Let's move on to the next question. So here we have the equation, and k is a constant. The equation has no solutions. What's the value of k? In order to have no solutions, it has to have the same oh, sorry for my handwriting, same slope and different y-intercepts. So in this case, if you multiply 3 by 13, we get 39, and that is different from 36. So 3kx has to equal 48 divided by 17x. So let's solve for k here. So 3kx equals 48 divided by 17x. So we can get rid of x in both sides, or I can erase it. So now we have a simpler problem. Let's cross multiply these things. 21k equals, oh, it's not 21, sorry. Kind of rushed it. So 151. Yep. 51k equals 48. 48, and k equals 48 divided by 51. So so here it can, is there any way we can divide, we can simplify it? Let me think. What if we divide both sides by 3? Sorry, by 3. So if we divide both sides by 3, we get 16 divided by 17. So that's our answer. 16 divided by 17 is our correct answer choice. So before moving on to the next question, let me erase all these things, because we have to have some space for the next question as well. Let me do that real quick. So now we can move on to the next question. So which of the following is equivalent to this equation? Looking at the answer choices, I kind of can see that two answer choices start off with 2x. So an easy way of checking it would be dividing all these things by 2, and we get 2x plus 3 equals 6. So we can immediately remove A, and D is the correct answer. In the real exam, I will literally choose D here because it's 100% exactly the equivalent to the equation here. But in order to kind of explain you, I will also explain you why these B and C are wrong. So if we multiply B by 4, we get 4x plus 12 equals 12, and this is not equivalent to the equation here, so B is wrong. And even if, and this one is completely wrong because it's not equivalent to the 4x plus 6 equals 12. So now we can move on to the next question. 1 pound of grapes costs $2. At this rate, how many dollars will C pounds of grapes cost? So if 1 pound of grapes costs $2, here we have 2 here. Two. That's interesting. So I guess it has to be something related to 2. So let's say 2 pounds of grapes. 2 pounds of grapes will cost 2 times $2. And uh, just an example, like 4 pounds of grapes will cost 4 times $2, and so on. So we kind of have to multiply it by 2. We have to double it. So therefore, I believe that C pounds of grapes will cost 2C, because every single time you just have to multiply it by 2, or you can say we can double it. So A is the correct answer choice. A principal used a total of 25 flags that were either blue or yellow for field day. Interesting. Principal used 20 blue flags. How many yellow flags were used? I guess I've never seen this much of an easy question. And that would be 25 minus 20, and that would be 5. And the correct answer is 5. Now let me explain why. So in total, we have 25 flags that were either blue or yellow. So there were 20 blue flags. So yellow ones would, to get the number of yellow ones, you have to divide 20 from, you have to subtract 20 from 25. So you get 5. What value of x is the solution to the given equation? 11. That's easy. Like, you just have to divide 8 by 88, so we get 11. So let's move on to the next one. A certain product cost a company $65 to make. The product is sold by a salesperson who earns a commission that is equal to 20% of the sales price of the product. The profit the company makes for each unit is equal to the sales price. That's interesting. The profit equals to the sales price minus the combined cost of making the product and the commission. If the sales price of the product is $100, which of the following equation gives the number of units? So we have to find the, U is the number of units of the product the company sold to make a profit of 6,840. So this question is kind of looking a little bad. It's kind of like complex, but let's try to solve it. So we know that the so the sales price of one product is $100, as you can see. So the product costs $100. If we want to buy the product, we just have to pay $100 to buy it. So because salesperson gets a commission that is equal to 25% of this thing, we can say that after the salesperson gets the commission, the price would be 1 minus 0.2. Why 0.2? Because this is what, like 20% of this money that the salesperson gets. So the actual profit that the company can make is 0.8, and the actual profit would be $80, I believe. $80. Uh-huh. And then we also have to subtract the combined cost of making the product. So combined cost of making the product is $65. So that would be minus 65. And oh, I guess we can simplify this by, let me erase this part. And let's get these things here. Here, so it's a little more organized. So what we also did is multiplying this thing by $65. Why? Because it costs $65. It costs $65 to make it. And if we multiply this by the number of products that is sold, so that is U, we get the profits. And we know that it equals to 6,840, and that would be that number equals that number. I'm not going to write that. So yeah, so that's our equation, and I hope that was understandable because I tried to explain it so well. So 100, yep, choice A is the correct answer choice. Because it's exactly the same equation that we wrote here. Let's move on to the next one. So A multiplied by 3 minus x minus b equals minus 1 minus 2x. In the equation above, A and B are constants. If the equation has infinitely many solutions, what are the values of A and B? So the first thing is, I guess, distributing. Yeah. So first, let's distribute it. So we get 3a minus ax minus b, and that equals to minus 1 minus 2x. So now what we can do is we can rearrange some stuff here. I guess, yeah, it's almost rearranged, I believe. Yes. Yeah. So now we know that there are infinitely many solutions. So if there are infinitely many solutions, we have to have the same slope. Sorry for my handwriting. It's not that great because I'm like writing on my laptop. Different. Oh no, same. Sorry, same y-intercepts as well. Same y-intercepts as well. So that would be in the first part, we have only one x, and here we have one x. So before that, we have negative, and here as well. So a would be 2 because they have to be equal. Both of these equations have to be equal. So, so now we know that a equals to 2. 3 multiplied by a would be 6. 6 minus b will equal to -1 here, -1. So here as well we have the negative. So b would be b equals 7. Yep, b equals 7, a equals 2. So the correct answer is B. Let's move on to the next one. So an agricultural scientist studying the growth of corn plants recorded the height of a corn plant at the beginning of a study and the height of the plant each day for the next 12 days. The scientist found that the height of the plant increased by an average of 1.2 centimeters per day for the 12 days. Okay. If the height of the plant on the last day of the study was 36.8 centimeters, so it was on the last day, what would the height in centimeters of the corn plant at the beginning of the study? Uh-huh. So we know that the height of the plant increased by 1.2 centimeters per day. So that's kind of like a slope. And it happened for 12 days. So that would be the increase would be 1.2 multiplied by 12 for the next 12 days. So I guess that would equal to 14.4. So that's the total growth that it had. And there was already, oh no, after those 12 days, there were 36.8 centimeters. It was 36.8 centimeters. So if we subtract 14.4 from this number, we get the height at the beginning. So let me write that to clarify. It's 36.8 minus 14.4, and we get 22.4. So this is the height in centimeters of the corn plant at the beginning of the study. So the answer is 22.4. Let me erase all these things so that we can have more space for the next question. Let's move on to the next one. How many solutions exist to the equation shown above? So the simplest way of solving this question is by using Desmos, but in this case, like using Desmos is really easy, I believe, that it should not actually be, so it's easy, so there's no need for showing it for me. And just to know, you can use the other method as well. What you can do is that you can subtract 4 from both sides and you get 6 equals to x, and then you get x equals 3. So now you know that there's only one solution. So the answer is B, exactly 1. But if you're a little lazy and if you don't want to use your brain power and you're so lazy to do that, you can use Desmos and it's completely okay during the exam, because you shouldn't um, you shouldn't use your brain power on these types of questions where it is not needed, and you have to save your brain for harder questions on the exam. So let's move on. So what value of t is the solution to the given equation? That's also an easy one, I believe. So here we have t plus 3 on both sides. So what we can do is that we can, what 5 minus 7 would be minus 2. So multiply by t plus 3, and that is going to equal to 38. So t plus 3 t plus 3 equals minus 19. So t equals minus 22. So the correct answer is minus 22. I hope that was easy enough. So Kathy has N CDs, Gary has 3 more than twice the number of CDs that Kathy has. In terms of N, how many CDs does Gary have? So we know that uh, twice the number of CDs means like 2n that Kathy has, so n here, and twice the number of that would be 2n. And what we have to do is that more than, so that would be plus, because here we have more than, and 3. So 2n plus 3, and the answer is D. So that's easy. Now let's move on to the next question. Let me zoom out a little bit so that you can see the problem fully. Okay, so here we have a table. Purchase price dollars. Okay, interesting. We have property address and a lot of those stuff. So Townsend Royalty purchased the Glenview property and received a 40% discount. Where's the Glenview? Here we have Glenview Street property. So the purchase price was $140,000, and a monthly rental price in dollars is like a little over thousands. So there was 40% discount off the original price, along with an additional 20% off the discounted price for purchasing the property in cash. Which of the following best approximates the original price in dollars of the Glenview property? So in this case, let's imagine, and let's say A could be the original price, let's say, or like we can do O here because it's original price, and it's gonna be in dollars. Let's say A because it's kind of confusing. It kind of looks like 0, so let's do A. So after 40% discount, the price would be 1 minus 0.4 because we have 40% discount, and that is going to equal to 0.6a. A, yep. And after an additional 20% off, that would be 1 minus 0.2, and that is going to equal to 0.6a multiplied by 0.8. So therefore, let's multiply these things, and we get 0.48a, and that is gonna equal to this price here, $140,000. Yep. So this thing is gonna equal to $140,000. And now we have to find the value of A. Let me use my calculator to solve it. Just a second. So we get A equals 291 666, and then like 0.6, and it goes on like that. So I guess Let's look at the answer choice that kind of looks like this. Let's look at the answer choices. And the closest one here is B. Yep. So B is the correct answer choice. So as you can see, it's not that hard. Yep. Now let's move on to the next question. For what value of W does W minus 10 equals 2 multiplied by W plus 5? Okay, so that's it. That's easy one. Let's rewrite W minus 10 equals 2W plus 10. Let's subtract W from both sides. And let's subtract 10 from both sides. And we get negative 20 equals W. So W equals minus 20. So the correct answer is D. I hope this one was useful, and make sure that you subscribe to my channel and watch the next lesson, because it's so important to watch the entire course so that you can get the full advantage of this free 100-day digital SAT course.
Welcome to day 5 of our 100-day digital SAT course. So in this class, we will be solving questions related to algebra. So without further ado, let's get started. So here we have the first question. If 2 multiplied by x minus 5 plus 3x minus 5 equals 10, what is the value of x minus 5? So as you can see, here we have 2x minus 5s. So that makes our job a lot easier. So 2 plus 3 and multiplied by x minus 5 will equal to 10. So it's 2 plus 3 equals 5 and x minus 5 here, and that will equal to 10. And they're asking us for the value of x minus 5. So what we essentially do here is that we divide both sides by 5, and we get the value of x minus 5, and that will equal to 2. So the correct answer should be 2, choice A. Let's move on to the next question. So a science teacher is preparing the 5 stations of a science laboratory, and each station will have either experiment A materials or experiment B materials, but not both. So that's also an important word. Experiment A requires 6 teaspoons of salt, and experiment B requires 4 teaspoons of salt. So let me highlight these things. Experiment A, 6 teaspoons. Experiment B, 4 teaspoons. If X is the number of stations that will be set up for experiment A, and the remaining stations will be set for experiment B, which of the following expressions represents the total number of teaspoons of salt required? So this is kind of a hard question that not so many people understand, but still I will try to explain to you in a way that is as simple as possible. So the first thing that you have to understand is that there are a total of 5 stations. So that's the first thing that you need to understand. And then after that, you have to understand that experiment A requires 6 teaspoons of salt, and experiment B requires 4 teaspoons of salt. And we also know that X is the number of stations set up for A. So X is the number of stations set up for A experiment A.
and the remaining stations will automatically be set up for experiment B. So what we have to do here is, so our goal here is to find an expression that represents the total number of teaspoons of salt required for all 5 of these stations. So what we have to do now is to identify the number of stations for experiment B. So we already know the number of stations for A is X, and we have to find the one for B as well. So that will be B, let's say B equals, and they're saying that the remaining stations will be set up for experiment B. So that would be 5 minus X. And yeah, so we now know the number of stations that will be set up for experiment B as well, which is 5 minus X. So the next step is writing the equation. So they are asking for the total number of teaspoons, and that would be 6x plus, so here we have 4, and we have to multiply that by this equation. 4 multiplied by 5 minus x. And this is the equation of total salt that is required. So now let's simplify the expression. So 6x plus 20 minus 4x, and from here we get 2x plus 20. Yep. So the answer is 2x plus 20. That's our final answer. And if you go to the answer choices, here we have in choice C, 2x plus 20. This question kind of is hard, but I hope you were able to understand. So let's move on to the next question. So the width of a rectangular dance floor is W feet. So width is W feet. So the length of the floor is 6 feet longer than its width. So L, let's say length is gonna be represented as L, and that equals to 6 feet longer. So 6 plus W, which is the width, and we have to find the perimeter. So the first thing that you have to understand is the equation of a perimeter, and in this case, it's like a rectangular. So let's say this is the width and this is the length, and perimeter is how long is this thing, which is like 2 multiplied by L plus W. So imagine this is also L and this is also W, and you just have to find the meters of it, right? So the equation of perimeter is this: P equals 2 multiplied by L plus W. So now we know that L is 6 plus W, and we can put that in here and we can solve the equation. So P equals 2, oh, sorry for my bad handwriting. So 6 plus 2W, because here we also have a W here. And after that we got, and that will equal to 12 plus 4W. So that's our perimeter. Now what we can do is, like, we can go to the answer choices and compare that. So which choice has it? 12 plus 4W. Here we have choice B, the exact same thing. Now let's move on to the next question. So here we have the equation 9x plus 5, and that equals to A multiplied by x plus B, and here A and B are constants. And this equation that you can see right here has no solutions. Which of the following must be true? And if we have three theories or like choices we have, and we have to find the ones that are true. So now let's test each of these. Oh no, before testing it, let me tell you something that so many people ignore, and that is not knowing what no solutions, infinite solutions, and one solutions mean. So in no solutions, there's one thing that you have to remember. In no solutions, there should be the same slope, and different y-intercepts. So that's an important thing. So in this case, the slope here in the first one is 9, and in the second one it is a. So they have to be the same. So we know that's why a is 100% is going to equal to 9. But we also know that y-intercepts also has to be different. So in this case, we already know that a equals to 9. So we know that they should not be equal. So 5 should not be equal to b divided by, oh, not divided, like multiplied by 9, I would say. Yeah. So from here we could find what b should not equal to. So b should not be equal to 5 divided by 9. So here we have two statements or conditions, let's say. Now let's look at these three choices. Let's say a equals to 9. That is 100% right. B equals to 5. It might be 5. It might be some other number, but we want something that must be true. And this is like, it can be true, but we want something that is not. We want something that must be true. So 2 is wrong. Third one, yes, exactly. It's the exact same thing that we wrote here. So this is also 100% true. So you want the answer that says 1 and 3. So here the choice D says that. So as you can see, you can crush these questions because you know how to solve them. So let's move on to the next one. So Megan's regular wage at her job is P dollars per hour for the first 8 hours of work in a day plus 1.5 times her regular hourly wage for work in excess of 8 hours that day. On a given day, Megan worked 10 hours and her total earnings for that day were $137.50. What is Megan's regular hourly wage? So that's interesting. So we know that she earns P dollars per hour for the first 8 hours. So that would be like 8P and plus number of hours, let's say that N, and that is 1.5 times her regular hourly wage, which is P. Regular hourly wage, and yep. So on a given day, she worked for 10 hours and her total earnings for that day. So this is gonna equal to 137.5, and she worked 10 hours. So that would be like n should be 2 because I'm gonna explain you why. Because so here we have the first 8 hours, and So out of these 10 hours, 8 of these are here, and there are 2 extra hours, and we can put 2 here. So n was the number which represents the number of hours that were extra. So that's why I'm gonna put 2 here. So now let's solve this question, solve this equation, let's say. So AP plus 3P equals 137.5, and we got 11P equals 137.5, and from here P is gonna equal to, let me use my calculator to solve it, just a second. 11, so we've got 12.5, and it's also in US dollars, I believe. 12.5, so choice B. So here you go. Let's erase these things so that we will have more space for the next question. Okay. So if x plus 6 divided by 3 equals x plus 6 divided by 13, the value of x plus 6 is between which of the following pairs of values? Okay, so what we can do now is that we can cross multiply. So we can multiply these things. So 13 multiplied by x plus 6, and this is gonna equal to 3 multiplied by x plus 6. Now let's simplify all of these things. So that would be 13x plus 48, I believe. Yep, 48. Oh no, not 48. Let me use my calculator to solve this thing. So that would be 78, sorry. 78. And this will equal this will equal to 3x plus 18. So now what we can do is we can subtract 3x from both sides. And what we can also do is we can subtract 78 from both sides. And here we've got 10x equals minus 60. And yep, x equals minus 6. So they're asking for x plus 6, so that's important. So that would be 6 minus 6, and this will equal to 0. And we want the choice that includes 0. So choice A, minus 7 and minus 3. And keep in mind that this is between these values, and 0 cannot be in between these values, so A is wrong. Between minus 2 and 2, exactly, choice B. Between 2 and 7, there is no number such as 0, for example. So C is wrong. Choice D, 8, between 8 and 13, no, that is wrong. So let's move on to the next question. Let me erase these things. And if you want, you can pause the video now and solve these questions on your own before I solve them. So that will be so useful to you as well. So if 4x minus 0.1 equals minus 5, what's the value of 8x minus 1? So looking at this thing, you can just multiply this thing by 2 and you get the value. Why? Because, let me rewrite it. So 4x minus 0.5 is minus 5. So if you multiply all these things by 2, you get 8x minus 1 equals minus 10. So 8x minus 1, so as you can see, it's also here. So that's why the correct answer is minus 10. So the correct answer is Z. So let's move on to the next question. You can pause the video now and solve it on your own first. So here we have the equation. What value of p is the solution of the equation above? Now let's simplify it first. So 2p plus 2 plus 8p minus 8 equals 5p, and here we got 10p minus 6 equals 5p, and from here we can subtract 5p from both sides, and we've got 5p equals 6, so p equals 6 divided by 5. You can write 6 divided by 5, or you can also write 1, oh sorry, or you can also write 1.2. So both of these could be the correct answer choice, but remember that you have to choose one of these, okay? So let's move on to the next question. An economist models the demand Q for a certain product as a linear function of the selling price P. The demand was 20,000 units when the selling price was $40 per unit, and the demand was 15,000 units when selling the price was $60 per unit. Based on the model, what is the demand in units when the selling price is $55 per unit? So what we can do here is that we can draw a, what do you call it, a table. Yep, we can draw a table here. So now we can write the x and y values so that it's gonna be a lot clear for you. And let's divide it by 2. So here we have x and here we have y. So what we can say is that 40, when the selling price was $40, the demand was $20,000, and when the selling price was $60, the demand was $15,000, and when the price is $55, what is gonna be the demand in units? Okay, so we can write an equation for this. So the first thing is you have to understand that y equals x plus b. So here m is the slope, and slope is we're gonna find slope by solving this. Y2 minus y1 divided by x2 divided by x1, and you get the slope. So in this case, 15,000 minus 20,000, that will be minus 5,000, and this is going to be divided by 60 minus 40, that would be 20. So the slope here is y equals, let me use my calculator for this, 5,000 divided by 20, and we get 250. So negative 250x plus b. B is the y-intercept. When the value of x is equals to 0, what is going to be the value of y? So what we can find that by plugging in any of these points, 40 or 60. Let's do 40, and that would be like 20,000 equals minus 250 multiplied by 40, and then we will get the value of b. So in this case, I'm gonna use my calculator to find the value of b. Just a second. 250 multiplied by 4, get 40. we get minus 10,000, and B will be 30,000. Yep. So in this case, I can write 30,000 instead of B. 30,000. So now I know the equation. Now what I can do is that I can plug in 55 instead of x, and I can get the y value. So let's do that. So minus 250 multiplied by, what was the number? 55, yeah. When x equals 55, y is gonna equal to 16,250. So now let's look at the answer choices. Yep, choice A is the correct answer choice. So let's move on to the next question. The cost of renting a backhoe for up to 10 days is $270 for the first day. So that's the first day. And $135 for each additional day. Which of the following equations gives the cost y in dollars of renting the backhoe for x days, where x is a positive integer and x is less than or equal to 10? So let's write the equation. And you may think that this question is easy, but if you think that way, you are mistaken. So for the first day, it is $270 plus. Let me erase some other stuff that was written for the last question so that we will have more space to write. Okay, so after that, we got $135 for each additional day. So that would be like x minus 1. Why am I writing like this? Because for the first day, it was $270. So for x days, that would be x minus 1, because this is the cost of the cost of renting each day after the first one. So that's why we have to write x minus 1. And now we can simplify it. So we got 270 plus 135 x minus 135, and this will equal to, let me use my calculator to subtract 135 here, and we've got 135 again. 135 plus 135x. 135x. So now let's compare the answer choices, and choice D is the exact same thing. So choice D is the right answer. Now let's move on to the next question. According to a model, the head width in millimeters of a worker Bumbly can be estimated by adding 0.6 to 4 times the body weight of the bee in grams. According to the model, what would be the head width in millimeters of a worker that has a body weight of zero point 0.5 grams? So that's interesting. So they're saying the head width equals to 0.6 plus 4 multiplied by the body weight. So if the body weight is 0.5 grams, let's plug 0.5 here, 0.5, and now we can find the head width. Let me use my calculator to solve it, and plus 0.6, so that would be 2.6. So h equals 2.6. Now, Yep, there are no answer choices, and it's a free response question, so the correct answer is 2.6. Let's move on to the next question. In the xy plane, the graph of a linear function f contains the points 0.3 and 7 and 31, which of the following defines f, where y equals f of x. So in this case, we've got different slopes here, and in two choices there are the same y-intercept. So I guess I will start by slopes, and I will find the slope, and I will compare the options, and I will choose the one that contains the correct slope, and that's it. So slope, as you know, equals m, and that is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So that would be 31 minus 3, and divide that by 7 minus 0. This will equal to 28. Oh, sorry. 28 divided by 7, and this is going to equal to 4. So the slope is 4, and let's look at the answer choices. Only choice C has a function that has a slope of 4, so that's the correct answer choice. Now let's move on to the next question. So a team of workers has been moving cargo off a ship. So the equation below models the approximate number of tons of cargo y that remains to be moved x hours after the team started working. So here we've got the equation. The graph of this equation in the xy plane is a line. What is the best interpretation of the x-intercept in this context? So we know that the x-intercept of the line with this equation can be found by substituting 0 for y and finding the value of x. So that's why when y equals 0, let me find what we get. So 0 equals 120 minus 25x. So here we've got, let's subtract 120 from both sides. 120 and minus 120 equals minus 25x, and x equals, let me use my calculator to solve this. So we've got 4.8. 4.8. Now what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna eliminate choices that don't include 4.8. I'm gonna eliminate those choices like C and D, and now I'm left with A and B. So we know that x-intercept, which is 4.8, is the number of hours that the team will have moved all the cargo in about 4.8 hours. And it's not like per hour, and it's not a slope, so that's why B is wrong. So the correct answer is A. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.